Much, Meena. Thank you. My dear friends, today uh, I have asked to rename it as reparenting yourself. It is not just about spiritual parenting, but also reparenting ourselves. As an adults, we have to reparent ourselves because knowingly or unknowingly, our parents might have done so many things because of which we may be having some different patterns. So it is very, very important for us to reparent ourselves. Because I'll just take with an example. There's this one guy who is a celebrity. He lives in Australia, and he was born poor in a very poor family, and he didn't had much to even eat. So they had to just eat once a week, or it was very tough for them. Every day they couldn't get whatever they wanted to eat. They used to just drink uh, some juices, some plant juices and other things, but only once a week they were able to buy the food and they were able to eat. It was so it was like that when he was in his childhood. But at that time he decided that he will become rich, because as I mentioned last week, most of the times what happens is whatever the condition is there in the childhood, automatically the child will fix to become opposite, like the extreme. He will choose the other side, that no, I want to become rich. So he really worked hard, and he was very strong, and his intention, his determination, everything took him into this level where he became a big celebrity, and he became one of the very successful persons and very, very rich. In spite of that, whenever he goes to buy something, normally his assistants or his partner or someone will buy him clothes. But whenever he has to go to a shop to buy any clothes, still his heart beats very fast, and he feels so uncomfortable. And finally, he can just take one pair of dress, but if he has to take the second pair, he'll feel so guilty, so bad, because of that particular pattern which is there in the childhood. He doesn't feel comfortable at all, in spite of he has so much money that he can even buy clothes for like thousands or even millions of people. He's super rich now, yet he's not comfortable buying anything for him. He feels so guilty, he feels so bad about it. So we have to reparent ourselves, my dear friends. As I'm telling this example, I also want you to reflect on what is it that you don't like. Because last time, I think few months ago, I was just taking this example, and one lady at the end, she started sharing that the same thing happens with me, ma'am. The I normally I'll not be able to buy anything for me. So every time I feel like, no, I need to save this money for my son. So though her husband is working and she is working and they have enough money, but still every time that thought is there inside her, that no, I have to save money, I have to save money for my kid. Then I asked her, what happened in your childhood? And she told me that she really wanted to go for MBBS, but she didn't get a free seat. So they had to pay money, and their parents did not save money for her. So she couldn't pursue her career just because their parents did not save money. So it is there inside her head that I need to save money for my kid, in spite of whatever the situation is around, because their parents' situation is completely different. But now she's in a completely different position where she is rich and she has already saved good amount of money and everything is there. Yet whenever she goes to buy something, Every time she feels guilty that no, I need to save money for my son because of that pattern. So I want everyone to observe keenly, is there any pattern that stops you from doing what you want because of something from your childhood? And automatically, what happens is the same patterns we give to our kids. And that is the main important reason to reparent ourselves. Because most of the times, the same patterns we give to our kids. So, with this example, I just wanted to start because today we are going to take question and answers. Last week, few people were asking it will be nice if we have a question and answer session. So we thought, okay, this time we'll take question and answers. So you can raise your hands if you have any questions, anything about parenting as a parent, if you have any questions about your kids, or even to reparent yourself, any patterns from your past or your childhood, anything you can ask. You can raise your hands. Yeah, or you can just type it in the chat window. So, um, in the meanwhile, I'll just talk about food. So, because a lot of parents they ask that their kids doesn't eat food properly, they have to force them. Most of the parents, even today, I see them. They try to force the kids, especially in Asian countries, to eat food. But what I observed from my child is I was breastfeeding her for 2 years. And I think in the second year, one day, she wasn't eating at all. So, whatever that I'm giving her, she wasn't eating at all. So, by evening, I tried everything. And in the evening, I got to know that it was Shivaratri. A lot of people do fasting on that day. Normally, I don't follow that. But in the evening, when I got to know that, I thought, okay, let me just observe what is happening. So in the evening, she had very light food. And again, the next time when I observed she wasn't eating at all, then I saw what is the day. That was full moon. So the pattern continued. So the other day, when she wasn't eating, I did not understand because it wasn't a full moon or it wasn't any auspicious day that I knew. But by evening, I got to know that it was Ekadashi, and so a lot of people fast on that day. So I'm not really sure. Maybe her past life pattern that is continuing, or maybe on those days, the energy is very high on the planet Earth, and that is the reason. So a lot of people they don't feel like eating. And also in the ancient India, this culture has been created on this particular days of fasting is being done because as lot of energies are being downloaded onto the planet earth on on those days, we don't need food. We have to take this energy, the cosmic energy that is there on the planet earth on those days, especially on new moon days, full moon days, and few other auspicious days. So I mean, I didn't know this before because I never fasted in my life, except for few times when I really felt not because of the auspicious days or because of any other reasons. So clearly observe your child's patterns. And some days she doesn't eat. So, but I clearly observe that on those days she is very high in energy, very active, or she may be having a little cold or she's not feeling well. So in these two cases, automatically as adults also, when we sit in meditation and when we do long term meditation, we don't feel like eating because we receive a lot of energy. For some people, of course, for some people it may be different, but for some people they don't feel like eating because of this energy. In the same way, kids, they're always connected to the source. So sometimes, depending on their energy level, they'll not feel like eating, and we should not force them. We should give them that space. And the other thing is, as many of us know, when we are having cold or fever or anything, body has a mechanism where it repairs itself. So whenever there is something inside our body that needs to be repaired, give rest to the digestive system. But a lot of us, what we do is, during that time when someone is sick, we try to give them something. Oh, you're already sick, you should get more energy, so please eat it, and we try to force them. But it is being proved that when body goes through fasting, when the digestive system gets rest, body repairs itself very fast. You can just, if required, give some soup or very very light food. So in that way, first observe your kid. And it's not just about your kid, my dear friends, it is also about yourself. Observe your body very very clearly, what it wants. Because I didn't know about all this D vitamin or the calories and all these things until 10 years ago when I moved to UK. So a lot of us, do you know about all these things 20 years ago or 10, 15 years ago, about the proteins or how much proteins you have to eat per day, how many carbohydrates you have to eat per day, and no carbohydrates, only focus on proteins, and just less carbohydrates. All these things. Just look at our parents, look at our grandparents. They are very healthy, but it is good to include a good diet. But do not completely, it is in your belief system, my dear friends. Whatever that you are eating, eat happily. Whatever that you are feeding your kids, feed happily. When they eat a less quantity, do not feel that, because your intention, your thoughts are very very important. Do not feel that, oh, she's eating very little, and don't start telling to everyone. Because what happens is, they take your thoughts, they take your words. Oh, she doesn't eat properly, that is why she is so lean, she never eats properly. So the same sentence that you use, it will be feeded into their subconscious mind, and they'll think that, oh, my mom says this every time, so it must be the truth. They'll fix for that truth, for whatever that you talk about. So it is very very important what you talk, and especially in front of everyone, and of course to them directly. So these things are very very important, my dear friends. Yeah.
We have a question, ma'am, here. What is the limitation for discipline in kids? My entire childhood was over disciplined, which sometimes I feel is not required so much, but that pattern is being followed even now.
So discipline, everyone has a different definition for discipline. So for some people, discipline is being very strict, like exact time to time they have to do something. So at this time you have to wake up, like whatever 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock, whatever is the, for some people waking up at 4 o'clock is discipline. For some people at 6 o'clock is discipline. For some people 8 o'clock is also a discipline. But my dear friends, as you asked the limitation, 4 o'clock, if all your families all your family wakes up at 4 o'clock and does some routine of meditation or something, a prayer or anything, it's a good routine. But even in some cases, what I observe these days is, they're absolutely fine, because the main important thing is, you should not go to the other extreme. Like if there's a too much of discipline in your childhood, most of the times what happens is, as I mentioned, there'll be two extremes. You will follow the same pattern of being too much disciplined towards your kids, or the other side, that okay, already my parents are being too disciplined, let me just give them freedom. And even if they are waking up at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, you really don't care. So you're like, okay, now I'm giving them freedom. So it should not be like that. It should be in a perfect balance. So, as I mentioned about food, some people think that, okay, let me just give them whatever they want. And they may eat too many sweets or too much of junk food because I couldn't eat in my childhood. I had very limited resources. Now let me give my kid everything. I have seen so many people, even in my neighborhood in UK. So whatever they want, most of the times Asian parents, whatever they want, they're just going in the street and whatever the kid is asking, all the toys or whatever the food they are asking, they'll give them. So from childhood, make a discipline that don't give them everything they ask. Just try to explain them. But it's not that, again, do not restrict them, because even I have seen the other extreme that a couple of families, they don't give them anything at all. Like they give them pizza once in 6 months or once in a year. They'll be craving so much because it is the main food in UK and other places where all the other kids will be talking about pizza and burger and other things, and these kids will be like, no, I don't have this. Once I grow up, I'll buy so many pizzas. So it is very important, my dear friends. It should not be like that. Give them limitedly. Because I knew one person, his mother never gave him Horlicks. So he was sharing with me. So all I think his neighbor kids were drinking this Horlicks, and he asked his mother. So she bought him Horlicks, but every alternate day only she used to give him. She did not explain the reasons. Very important. Kids will understand if there is any reason that is there in your mind. Do not straight away tell that no, you are not going to get this. Instead of that, for example, if pizza is not very healthy, just explain them. So even though at that moment they may feel bad, but the explanation will be there inside them that okay, mommy is doing for your good. It is not a very healthy food. Once in a while, it is okay, but it is not very healthy. So this guy, what he decided in his childhood was, and only after counseling we got to know that actually. So in his childhood, he decided that I will fill myself with Horlicks, as if like in a swimming pool or something. He really loved it. So once he moved to US for some job purpose, his only food was Horlicks for more than 15 days. He didn't eat anything except for Horlicks. And after that, he realized that, okay, now it is enough. So, in that way, even observe your patterns, my dear friends. What is it that you have too much of craving for? If anyone understands Telugu, today at 3:30, I'm doing a session on particularly on cravings and with EFT, because we are doing a 21-day wellness session to lose emotional weight, to lose physical weight. So it's very important for us to understand what cravings do we have, and at the same time observe the cravings of the kids. Just balance them very clearly. Yeah.
We have one more question. How to embed spiritual side or importance of meditation with children? How to support them on their journey?
um, so we are having sessions for kids in Zoom. I think in UK also they were doing
Yes.
meditation for kids, and also a lot of places, I think in pyramid call services, and we are doing meditation for kids. So definitely join them in these groups so that they will see other kids doing meditation. Now, even in US, all the kids, they formed a group, and all the parents, they encouraged them to start their own Zoom session, and they invite all the speakers. They introduce and they sing songs and do some different activities along with the speakers talking. It's a beautiful program. So when they see other kids doing all these things, automatically they will do. And especially in the family, when you are doing when your vibrations changes, they may slowly come. But the main thing is, if they see the same age group doing, then it will be of they can come easily.
Yeah.
And do not force them to do meditation, my dear friends, because again the same thing will happen. Because there's one lady who is now into meditation, but she shares her childhood because their parents were into meditation 25 years ago. But at that time, they really loved meditation, but they're very disciplined parents, very strict parents. Though, so they made them do every day some 2 to 4 hours of meditation. Though the meditation helped them, they had this strong resistance towards meditation. Though they had all the visions and so many things, they never enjoyed it. So after a long time, again they came back into meditation and they understood the benefits of meditation. So just as a game, as a playtime, or just include that meditation into their playtime. Because for my child, so we just started it as a playtime. And my brother and Anika Zo, my daughter, they used to share some stories on meditation. I'm sure some of you know. We have even posted those Anika Zo stories in Anika Zo channel. So it's very sweet talking about those stories from Peppa Pig and whatever their imagination is there. And everyone together, they are doing meditation, all the characters. So in this way, a lot of kids, they started doing meditation after seeing these stories. So if your kids are young, then you can just start in that way.
Yeah, no more questions, ma'am, as of now. But I have one question to ask about teens.
Yeah.
Teens will be having much peer pressure, like the
Yes.
friends they choose. We can see how they are choosing their friends. But if you're not in line, or if you're not liking as parents, we can say that okay, don't hang out with them, or how to explain that properly, because they might have made best friends with those in
Mhm.
school or outside. But when we can see that they are not the right ones, how to put them into a proper way and explain them?
Yeah. So whatever that is there inside your mind, whatever you feel, clearly explain them. So why are you feeling that they are not the right persons? Because everyone has different characteristics, different things. Maybe because of their childhood, their parents, or their culture. So if something is there inside you that is bothering you about them, clearly explain them. Just don't say that don't hang with him, I don't like him, he's not a good person. So never ever just use a generic statement. What is it that you don't like? Very clearly explain them, because teenagers, they understand everything. So if you just say a sentence, they'll not just directly straight away cut the friendship, right? So if there is anything, then tell them that okay, this behavior in her or in him is not a good behavior. So even though if you're hanging with him, just be careful of this behavior, because this is not acceptable. It will be better if you completely cut it, because looks like the other person is very strong in that behavior. Like what, like for example bullying. If the other person is bullying, if you hang out with him and if you start bullying, it's not at all good for you or good for others. Or even though if you are with him, just don't take that behavior. So very clearly explain what is it that is bothering you, what is it that is there inside your mind. Clearly explain to them, instead of just saying that okay, don't hang with them, because teens, they will not listen directly.
Yeah. One more
Not only
question we
teens,
have.
for everyone we have to explain. Even for my 4-year daughter, I try to explain her. If I don't give her something, if I don't give her too many sweets, or if she asks something, I try to explain her why it is good and why it is not good. because they understand everything. Yeah, thank you.
I have one more question here. What is the effect of divorce on kids, and how important it is to have a healthy environment for kids?
Of course, it is very, very important for kid to have a healthy environment. Yet at the same time, we have to understand that if there is a divorce in the family, the kid may be affected, may be longing for the other parent. When he is raised with a single parent, he may be longing for the other parent. And especially not just him longing for the other parent, but also friends around him and whoever is there. If they talk about the other parent, they'll feel bad, they'll miss them. And there may be so many emotions that may be going on in them. Yet, as a single parent, you don't feel guilty about it. Never ever feel guilty about it. Whatever has happened. But what is it that you can do now? As a single parent, don't try to completely put all your energies to make them happy. Whatever that you can do, please do that. But never ever feel guilty and try to do more and give more. So, because one thing we have to understand is it is all a perfect plan, a mutual plan that you have agreed upon. And as a child, it is his plan to have that experience. And as a single parent, it is your plan to have that experience in this lifetime. So instead of coming from guilty or sadness or any other lower frequency vibration, always try to raise your vibration first. So once your vibration is raised, automatically he'll feel protected, he'll feel secured, he or she. So the child will feel secure. And once they were in a stage where they'll be able to understand all these things, they'll know and they'll understand that this is for a different experience. Because every lifetime we come onto this planet Earth to have a different experience. So, as a king, as a beggar, as a man, as a woman, or even as a prostitute. So we think that why prostitutes? But even they come for their own experience. As a rapist, they come for their own experiences. Of course, we judge them, we tell them so many things. But yet again, if we look at the bigger picture, they come for their own experiences and they teach. So if we see, again, I'll take a different example, but it may be helpful for a lot of people. So I think that answered that particular question. So the other example I wanted to share here is there's one lady who was longing for kids, and she prayed to all the gods and everything that she could do. She did. And after about 5 to 10 years of her marriage, I don't exactly remember, but after 5 to 10 years of her marriage, she gave birth one after other to five beautiful kids. And just after 10 years, they started to die because of various things. One died in an accident, one died because of some sickness. So in that way, all the five kids died. So when we look at this example, or at this, of course it's a real life example, so when we hear this, we may feel so bad, or we may start judging from our mind. But it took more than 5 years for her to come out of this grief. After 5 years, she became a grief consultant. And now she's very, very successful in her career. Whoever has any grief, when they go to her, just within few minutes, they'll feel very good. They'll come out of that grief. So she has become that. So when we look into her life before, we may start judging, oh, why this has happened to her. Or we'll just feel that, oh, poor, or we'll feel sad and we'll feel all those lower vibrations. But that is the plan of her, to come here and to long for kids so that she'll understand. When the kids came into her life, and just within few years everyone left. It was so much grief. When others hear her example and when they talk with her, it became much easier for them to come out of grief. So that is the divine plan. That is her soul plan, to have that experience and to become that teacher, that grief consultant, so that she can help hundreds and thousands of people to come out of grief. So she had to go through that. In the same way, when we exactly look at one particular situation, we may feel bad. Oh, why is this happening? But when we look at that bigger picture, there is something else, a greater experience that they have come for. I think there is this beautiful story also. Most of you might be knowing. A person, he has a son and he lives in a village. And um there's one, I don't exactly remember, I'll try to tell that. So there's one horse that comes to them. So all the villagers, they say that, oh, you're so lucky. A horse had come to you. So you are very lucky. So the villager, he says that, the old man, he says, we will see. I don't know if it is a luck or not. We will see. And then immediately, sorry, there are some cats here. So the horse runs away. So again, everyone comes to them and they say that, oh, poor, you're very unlucky. The horse has run away. They say that, okay, we will see. The old man, instead of judging it and feeling happy or sad about it, he'll just say that, okay, let's see what will happen. So just after a few days, the horse will come back with few other horses. Again, all the villagers will come and they say that, oh, you're so lucky. Now see, you have got so many horses. This is the same answer the old man gives. The other day, his son, he tries to go on the horse and he falls down and his leg is broken. So again, all the villagers come and say that, oh, poor, look at your son. Now he has a broken leg. I think you're very unlucky. And all the horses has run away. So again, the old man says, we will see. The other day, so there was some war declared in his country, and they come to this village to take all the youngsters for the war. So all the youngsters from the village had to go for the war, except for this guy because his leg is broken. So again, the villagers come and say that, oh, you're so lucky, just because your leg is broken, you did not go for war. So we don't know, every time something happens in our life, there may be some reason. Immediately do not judge. So it is very, very important, my dear friends. Yeah.
Yeah, one more question. How can we reparent a child to undo some belief system that we imparted in their childhood due to our ignorance?
So if the child is less than 7 years, uh, they'll be very, very attached to their mother. Or if you can observe, most of the times it may be mother, or in some cases it may be even father. And for some kids, even till 11 years, just observe, because every kid is different. So some kids, they'll be very attached to their parents till 11 years. So if that attachment is still there, very close, I mean, it's, of course, everyone will have that attachment, but in these cases, till 7 years, they'll be clinging, almost like clinging to their mother. So too much of attachment. In that case, you can just sit with an intention when they are sleeping, whatever that you want to reprogram, but always use positive sentences. So, and also when they go to sleep, just after 10 minutes of sleep, because it's not that they're completely awake and it's not that they're completely in deep sleep. So it is that in between state. So in this state, the subconscious mind will receive very clearly everything that you say. As a mother, it will be very powerful, whatever the sentences that you're using there. Always use positive sentences. Like for example, the other day someone was asking me, and that his son is just 5 years old and he's very naughty. He just cries a lot for everything that he wants. He doesn't really communicate well, and for everything he really makes a big fuss. So I asked her to use these affirmations. So here in this particular example, we should never ever use that. Okay, he will not shout or he will not cry. So instead, use he will be very peaceful. You're going to be very peaceful from tomorrow, and you're going to clearly communicate whatever that you want. So in this way, we have to use positive sentences to reprogram whatever that you want to reprogram. So just within 11 days, she started seeing change. She was so happy because these things really work, my dear friends. Now, if you look at the hypnosis, so what they do, even a chain smoker, just after going for few settings of hypnosis sessions, the same thing that they do, they'll slowly take you into that hypnotic state where they give the suggestions to your subconscious mind. In the same way, especially for kids when they are sleeping or just before they are awake, or when they are slightly awake but they're not completely awake and active, in that moment the subconscious mind will be very active. It's not only for kids, my dear friends, it's even for adults, for every one of us. It works the same way. Subconscious mind is very powerful. If you give instructions to it directly, you can clearly see the change for whatever it may be, even for health or even to change any patterns in your mind, anything. So please do that. And it's not just for one time. Do it for 11 days continuously. Or if you are not seeing any difference, do not stop it. Do it for 21 days. And definitely in 21 days, the completely it will be rewired in the brain.
If the teenagers don't want to listen to you, is it their free will? What are they doing?
Is it their free will what they are doing? Okay. So absolutely, it will be their free will again. Because even as teenagers, sometimes we may or may not have listened to our parents, but of course, it was different at that time. Because at that time, most of the times we used to give more respect to the parents, but nowadays, children are more independent. So, what is it that you are trying to tell them? That also depends. So, for example, as in the other question someone was asking, so the teenagers, if they're not listening uh, about their friends, so good friendships and bad friendships, so it is from our judgment we do that, right? In the same way, everything that is coming from our past, we try to tell them. Of course it works sometimes, because we also have a lot of experience, and from our experiences we are trying to tell them. But yet again, the teenagers at this time, they want to learn completely independently. They want to have their own experience. Some people, they want to fall and then rise. So yet again, if we look at stories in the past, of course we will be having that attachment to our kids, and we always want to warn them, we want to tell them our own experiences, so that they can directly start from there. Yet they have come into this body, they have come into this lifetime to have their own experience. So sometimes it's okay to give them that free will. Whatever that you can do, do. Yet again, in meditation, if you think there is something really important, but they are not listening, then in meditation, try to tell them, invite them astrally and try to tell them. Because what happens is, our mind in teenage doesn't want to listen to parents, it wants to be independent. So, but yet, if you think whatever that suggestion that you are giving, any advice that you are giving, is very, very important at this stage. So, in your meditation, completely just invite them and talk as if you're talking normally. There will be no resistance because there will be no mind. So, I mean, we just tried it once and it really worked. This lady in Hyderabad, so she was in her home and her son, he is in teenage, and he was almost shouting at her because of something. She was trying to tell her, she was trying to tell her, but he wasn't in a position to listen. He wanted something. I think he wanted car keys to go with his friends for a party, and it was already late in the night. She didn't want it to give. He was so upset, he was almost shouting, and he was so angry. And she was trying to tell him, but he wasn't listening. And finally, he just left. And immediately after he left, even she was feeling so bad because he was completely upset. But at that moment, she told that she just did 5 minutes of meditation, sending him love vibrations and saying that, sorry, my dear, I did not give on purpose because uh, it is very late in the night and I didn't want to give the car keys because I know you guys are going for a party. So, whatever that she wanted to tell him directly, that she couldn't tell then when he was not at all listening, she just communicated everything in that 5 minutes of meditation. And just after 5 minutes, she received a call from his son saying, I'm so sorry, mom. She was completely surprised. She did not expect that call. But exactly whatever she communicated, she understood that everything, he received everything. And automatically he felt like calling her and saying sorry. So, in this way, never ever underestimate the power of meditation. It's just that we connect to our soul and we connect to their soul. And a lot of time, even the telepathy works, right? So, whenever we think of someone, they call us, or so many things like that happens, then why not experiment? Because everything, my dear friends, whatever I talk, almost everything, I talk from my own experiences or I talk from others' experiences that I have listened to. It is not just about knowing the knowledge from the books. It is not just about reading something. Of course, it is good to read, but yet again, it is very, very important to experiment them in our lives. So every time, if something is happening, try to experiment it on yourself so that it will become an example to others. Yeah,
No
thank
more
you.
questions, ma'am. No more questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, wonderful. So, how much time we have? Okay, we have 15 more minutes. So, anyone else has any questions? Anything about inner child or anything that you want to ask?
Yeah, I have a question to ask about teenage girls.
Yeah.
How to explain them about self-love for teenage girls? And also now they are more looking outside, and in these countries, like they are into fashions. So
Yes.
how to explain them about all that, please?
Um, so, for self love, it is because they're already into teenage, they can happily listen to self love meditations. So, initially, when they are not listening, just ask them if you really like some meditation on self love or some talk on self love. Just when they are around in the house, even not only on self love but on meditation and anything that you really like, when they are around, just start playing that. So this is what last time one person, she was sharing that her daughter was not at all listening to whatever she was telling. So one day she got a chance that her daughter was just at home, and she started playing some beautiful guided meditations and talks on meditation. And though she was not very interested, she started listening to it because it automatically subconsciously goes right. So the next day she curiously came to her mom and she asked, so you're doing meditation, I also want to give it a try. Because for so many days she was trying to tell her directly, but she never listened. But on that particular day, though she was just playing it, and though she wasn't actually sitting and listening to it, it went subconsciously into her mind. So you can just give it a try, that playing whatever that you love. Like if you want to share about self love, then just try to play something on self love. This is one technique. But of course, as a parent, you may be having so many other techniques, but this is one technique that one of the parents she tried and it really worked. So, and the other thing is, whatever that we want to tell to our kids, first we have to implement. So once you start really practicing self love, automatically that vibrations, and what automatically the change in you, the other persons will observe, the family members, even though they may not observe directly. But when the vibration of you changes, the vibration of the family starts changing. It happened in many cases, my dear friends. So some people may argue that, okay, though even I'm in meditation, the other family members are not coming into meditation. It might have happened in 100, there may be few 5 to 10 cases. But the other cases, many people, they come and they say that though they were not interested, automatically they came into meditation after few months, or for some people it took years. Just now someone was talking, a couple was talking with me, a couple and his son, a teenage son. So uh, this lady, she was having so many challenges, like the lower disc pain, and some uterus problems and fibroids, and I mean, like, so many issues that she was talking about. And everything she cleared through meditation. It seems she used to sit for 6 to 8 hours every day night, and in the morning again she used to just be normal and do everything. So her husband was having tears in his eyes when he was telling me this, and she was happily sitting there. And even his teenage son, he was so emotional, he was telling me that, oh, we used to suffer a lot by looking at her suffering, but she was very strong. She didn't want to go to doctor, and she was just sitting in meditation and clearing one after the other, one after the other. So by looking at them, by looking at her, though this husband and the son, they were never ever interested in meditation, but after looking at her, the way she's changing every day, they came into meditation, and now they are very good meditators and they do a lot of work. So all these three, they just came to me and they were talking with me, and the story was so inspiring, my dear friends. She never left meditation in spite of her challenges. So, in that way, when you are strong, when you want to teach something to your family, automatically your vibration and everything inside you will help them to get into that same track. Yet, if they are not coming, that is their own free will. You can just leave them after saying for few months. Because one of the best examples is Patricer's brother. Patrice's whole family came into meditation except for his brother. So every time he talks about him, even though I have millions of followers, but my brother did not come into meditation. Of course, now he is no more. But in that way, sometimes if someone is not at all coming, or not at all coming into your path, then it is their own free will. They have come for a different experience. Just leave them. Of course, as a parent, you cannot just leave them, but you can give it a try. in different ways.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else you want me to talk on?
We don't have any questions, ma'am.
Don't have any
I
questions.
think,
Okay,
think we are done.
wonderful. So, anyone else has any particular inner child issues or anything that you want to repattern? Just start working on it, my dear friends. First of all, as we were talking about so many examples, I want you to look into your life first, because most of the times what we do is directly we look into our kids' life and we try to change that. So it's okay if you have anything in particularly like that, just write it down about your kid. At the same time, also take another piece of paper and exactly whatever that you have written down, is there anything inside you about it that you have to change? It is very, very important. I'll just tell you an example. So, a few years ago, I think some of you know her, but I don't want to take her name now. So, a few years ago, my husband's friend and his wife, they came to our house with a 3-year-old child. And that lady, she was having suicidal instincts, and she was not at all happy in her life. So, when I spoke with her, she told me that after marriage, her mother in law, she tortured her a lot and she insulted her in front of all her relatives. So she was not able to forgive her and she was not able to let go of those emotions. Though now she is happy with her child and moved to UK and there's no connection with her mother-in-law, just her husband sometimes talk with her. Yet every time she thinks about it and every time she feel um, very, very low because of all those emotions. So what was happening was, because of all these things, she was not really able to focus on her child. And the other main problem with the child was she had constipation problem. She never used to go to toilet in 5 to 7 days until and unless some laxatives were given. She went to doctors in the UK, and whenever she came to India, she went to many doctors in India as well. But this problem, it is continuous problem for her. She was just 3 years old. So when I asked her to first start working on herself to forgive her mother-in-law, so I gave her different techniques to forgive. It was so there was so much resistance that she was not at all ready to forgive her. Then I just told her that, do you think drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, will it work? Then obviously most of us do that, my dear friends. Even reflect in your own lives. We carry those emotions, we carry all those things. But if we are carrying them, is it going to affect the other person? Because here it is like she's drinking the poison and she's expecting her mother-in-law to die. No, it doesn't work that way, right? So then I told her, when you are not forgiving, it's affecting you. She's happy somewhere, she's happily eating and she's happily doing whatever that she want to do. But as you are carrying all those emotions, it is affecting you. Then somehow she started accepting and she came into meditation. And she was seriously, sincerely doing everyday meditations that we used to conduct initially in Zoom, as you all know. So in those meditations, one day, also I was giving different techniques to forgive. So one day she was able to completely forgive her. She could feel clearly, very clearly, that she was able to forgive her. And immediately she spoke with her over the phone. And not only that, she asked her husband to book tickets to India. And she came to India just within that week. After coming there, she spent few hours with her mother-in-law, just spoke nicely. And then she came to her mother's house. So here is the thing. So when she came to her mother's house, mother told her that there's a new doctor here We will just go and give it a try for the child's constipation. Because already they have been all these years, they have been going to different doctors and it did not work. But at that time, he was just a normal doctor, but she told there's a new doctor, just let's go and give it a try. And at that time, the doctor gave just 2 days course of medicine, and the whole thing was cleared, which was not cleared for more than 2 years with all the medicines and with all the doctors in UK, India, and everywhere, just after letting go of her own emotions. Because what is constipation? It is not about letting go. So when the mother is not able to let go of something very strongly, she's holding on to it. So the same emotion is coming on to her daughter, that she is not able to let go. She's holding on to it. That is constipation, right? So every time if something is happening to your child, observe what is the pattern inside you that you have to change. Is there anything related to you? So every time, even I observe my kid, if anything happens, the other day, I think she was just 2.5 years old. um, someone came to our house and something happened, and I was so irritated because they were not at all hygiene, and their hands were not their hands were a little dirty, and they were just holding my daughter, and I didn't really like it, and but I couldn't even say that. So I was feeling so irritated, and immediately, my dear friends, just within half an hour, my daughter got rashes all over her body. So again, my mind started judging that, okay, because they were holding my daughter with those dirty hands, my daughter got rashes. Normally, we think that way, right? Whatever that happens physically, we try to relate to that. But suddenly, I felt, is this my irritation that is causing rashes in her? So I sat down in meditation and I completely forgiven her, and I released my irritation. Miraculously, my dear friend, just within 5 minutes, even I couldn't believe myself at that time, but yes, it happened. Within 5 minutes, all the rashes were cleared. So every time anything that happens to her, I have experimented personally by changing my thoughts and by talking to my husband if he's having any thoughts like that. Once she had diarrhea, once she had like whatever that is happening inside her, first I observe my thoughts, and if it is not related to me, I talk with my husband. Is there anything that is going on with you related to this? And almost 99% of the times it worked, and immediate effect, very very immediately, within few minutes or within 1 hour, there will be a result. And as I experimented myself, I started sharing this wisdom with everyone, and from there I ask everyone to share the feedback with me whenever possible. So there are so many people that came back that it really worked for them. So please, I ask you all to also observe whatever that happens in your child. Observe your pattern and start changing your pattern, and automatically the pattern of the child will change. Because we are all interrelated, connected. So, yeah, it is very, very important, my dear friends. This is one of the most important and useful topic for all the parents to observe their own emotions.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing. Very beautiful real life examples. Thank you.
Okay. So, my dear friends, if you have anything for next week, if you want me to talk on any topic, just let Meena know or let someone from UK team know, so that I can take on that topic, on that particular topic. Yeah,
Sure, ma'am.
sure. Thank you. Thank you all so
Thank
much.
you, ma'am. Thank you for your time and your guidance on parenting. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you and love you
Thank
all.
you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the lovely session and very informative and knowledgeable. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Bye.